What's a thin bowl? Is less than 4 millimeters thin? Less than a millimeter. I'd call that thin, 3/4 of a millimeter. Today I want to show you some tips and tricks so you also can turn thin bowls. Hi, this is Mike Peace. I'm passionate about wood turning, and I'm here to share with you tips, tricks, and techniques to make you a better wood turner. Today we're going to look at turning some thin bowls. I'm using Bradford Pear sopping wet because it's one of my favorite woods. It's a tight grain. It's rather forgiving, cuts like butter when it's green. Did a video on Bradford Pear if you're interested in. Maybe I'll have a link to it somewhere in this video. This is about an 8-inch blank. I'm going to go ahead and cut it on the bandsaw using this jig. Now I'm going to turn it up on the end, cut out the piece on the very left that's going to be the bottom of the bowl, and I'm going to cut along that long line on the right just outside of the pith area. First I'm going to get rid of that small area. This is plenty stable for this kind of cut, 8 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on my dust collector. Using my clear center finder to mark the center, and then I'm going to take it over to the drill press. I'm going to drill a hole for my woodworm screw right there, and then I'll bring it back and cut it round. I find the woodworm screw a very safe way of mounting initially when I don't have to do any particular grain match. Take it back to the bandsaw. The shape I'm looking at turning today is something of this nature. We'll see how that works out. We may change a little bit as we go along. It may not be as thin as this little cherry bowl I turned a few years ago, but we'll give it a try. I got some of these tips from watching Mike Hoslick at Turning Southern States, rather Turning Southern Style. That symposium is coming up in September in North Georgia and Dalton, so you might want to check that out. And because I'm using Nova, just nip that corner there. Because I'm using Nova, we're having to do a parallel. So I'm going to use my detail gouge just to make sure I got a nice cleaned up shoulder there. Okay, there we go. So there's our tenon. This is going to be the foot right here. We can adjust the tool rest again. And go back for some more bulk removal. I'm just going to examine this shape a little bit. We've still got a lot more to take off. So I think I'm going to make that base just a little bit longer. Yeah. Okay, I'm beginning to like that curve, but I've still got a lot more wood to take out, so let's just go ahead and deal with that. And that should have gotten about all of it. Okay, Now I can true that cut up all the way to the edge. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. Okay, we're about ready to turn this around. Oh, I see a little bit of a crack from the pith, which means that we're going to have to take that bowl down to eliminate that. Any crack on the rim is going to cause us problems. So let me go ahead and take that back a little bit now so we can reshape the outside. So I'm just do that by I had done that with a parting tool, but since I had this gouge in my hand, so that really, I don't think affects my shape at all. I'm going to continue to go with that outside shape as it is, so I'm ready to have a nice smooth cut. I don't need to do anything else on that surface. I'm going to go ahead and reverse this. So let's take it off with a screw chuck. Downside of a screw chuck, you get older, it's tough sometimes getting those things off. Very strong hold. Alright, we're back on track. Now here's what I've got. I've got a little container of water here in a rag because we're going to keep this thing sopping wet. It's started off wet, but we don't want it to dry out on us while we're going, so I've got that handy. So we're just going to do a little bulk wood removal initially. Actually, we're going to come straight in, move past that crack. Now, typically on a bowl, we go straight in all the way down, start here and work all the way down to the bottom. But to keep it thin, we want to keep as much mass here in the middle as possible. So we're only going to go down part of an inch at a time, maybe 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to want to watch this sharp edge. Let's go ahead and just kind of, because it will cut you and cauterize the wound. Alright, so I'm just going to do a little bulk removal down to about an inch. Let me move the live center, get it out of the way. Okay, we're just going to come in, bracing our finger, come straight in and start that entry cut. Bring it around. Now, did you notice how that's skated? If you don't cut with this thing, the flute straight up, this is the flute, straight up pointing to 3 o'clock, dead center, you're going to have a tendency to skate. So brace it with your finger, bring this around. Here's the bevel, we're going to go straight in. Once we get the bevel riding with that little shoulder, then we can come on around easily and now, one of the keys to cutting thin is minimize the friction, and we're going to do that by, at this point in time, we're going to switch to a spindle gouge. The bowl doesn't know whether it's a spindle or a bowl gouge, it just knows how it's being used. So let's get a little more tailstock support. Empty out my shavings out of my water bucket here. Bring this in just a little bit. Okay. Bracing again with fingers, coming straight in. Now I'm sighting straight down here, and I'm looking to mimic the outside shape with the inside shape. And then as we go down, a little bit at a time, we're going to merge these two portions of the bowl wall together for a seamless transition. Just measure it. This is just to give you some idea where we are. That's at 2.3 millimeter. We can do better than that. Skim it flat. Now we're going to come straight in. We're going to get this below a millimeter. But also that rim, I need to leave that rim just a little bit thicker. I don't want a bead showing on the outside, so we're just going to come in here just a little bit and kind of have an inside bead, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, so we're going to pick up right behind it. And that'll just give it a little more stability and a bit of a shadow line. Okay, that's about as thin as I want to go. All right. So now we're going to take this down a little bit more, and we're going to switch back to a small bowl gouge. It's all end grain, so it's fighting that cut because of that end grain. Slow down a little bit as we approach the center. Speed slows down to get very, very slow. We got to slow the feed rate. That is how hard we're pushing the gouge into the middle. Just going to brace this with my finger just a little bit.